Sam. 10 years from now, which of the following players will we look at as having the most successful NBA career? Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, or Cam Whitmore? 10 years from now, who will we look at as having the most successful NBA career?
Okay, so it was Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore.
The 5 Rockets guys.
Okay, Amen Thompson is my answer. I don't really have to think all that much about it. Amen is such a special athlete, and he's already shown, even in like the 30 minutes he played at Summer League, that like he's working through some of the mid-range stuff to where I just completely buy him becoming a real force offensively and being, a 20 point per game scorer that also averages like 8 rebounds and plays like elite level defense. The other thing is that I think Amen is so singularly focused on winning in such a real way that I think his game, even though he doesn't shoot it, he'll find a way to impact winning at a substantial level, be it, okay, I'm going to use all of my energy and athleticism defensively to be like the biggest impact player I can be. I'm going to use my genius level, like court vision and feel for the game to be everything that I can be in that regard. My athleticism is unbelievable. I'm just going to be the transition force that I can be. Right. I had Amen graded higher in the draft than all of these players, even Jabari Smith. Like I like Jabari Smith quite a bit last year. And yeah, I would have Amen. I had Amen higher in terms of grade than what I had Jabari. And yeah, Amen, I think, is the best prospect on this team. And I would pretty easily say Amen.
I would too. And part of the reason I asked that question is to see the long-term ramifications in Houston. If they are going to get a guy like Amen Thompson, they have, and try to build a successful roster around him, does that come at the expense of any of the young players that they currently already have on their roster?
The answer is it could. And I want to, if I was Houston, I would not be operating under the assumption that it has to at this point.
Sure.
I don't think there's any reason to speed up the process if I was them. I would want to see how all of these guys look together and how they play together. Like my immediate reaction is I have some worries about what the floor spacing would look like on an Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson duo.
Yeah.
But in theory, like the ball movement that duo could provide could really offset that floor spacing because you could get all sorts of really interesting cuts and all sorts of really interesting, motion involved with those two to really make it work. So my immediate reaction is I think that it could be that. Like, I think that on paper, the Sengun Amen Thompson fit is a little bit questionable from a floor spacing perspective. And I generally just have more questions about Sengun on defense than what other people do, it seems, in the public sphere.
Me too. Yeah.
But you know what? Like Amen Thompson being the guy that slithers around ball screens and like fights his ass off, that probably makes, Alperen's life a little bit easier. I will say in general, under Ime Udoka, I felt like Boston did like to play a lot of drop. And correct me if I'm wrong, you watched even more Boston than I did.
It depended on who they were guarding and how they wanted to guard it. I think with Rob Williams, they did a lot more drop than they did this year with under Missoula.
Yeah, and like they would like switch a little bit with Horford, obviously, but like switching is just not an option with Sengun. You can't switch with Alperen. It's either like, are you going to show and recover or are you going to play drop? And I feel like I haven't seen Boston play a lot of show and recover in ball screens under Ime for that year, at least. So my assumption is they might go into it playing drop as opposed to like a show and recover. And I think Alperen is more of a show and recover guy. We're spending a lot of time talking about that fit because I think that's like the most interesting one.
Yeah.
I think Amen is the kind of guy that like will really accentuate Jalen Green's game. I think that Amen is the kind of guy that will really accentuate Jabari Smith's game as well, because he'll be able to get him on kickouts. He'll be able to collapse the defense and find Jabari open, and Jabari will be able to hit that like one dribble pull up game at a really high level. He'll create advantages for Jabari in the way that Jabari, I think, struggles doing so off the dribble himself. So yeah, to me, it's Amen. Amen is the one that like kind of stirs the drink.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you in that regard. Ooh.
Yeah, I wouldn't say definitively that Sengun cannot play and switch. He did well switching in his rookie season. No, he did not. That's I get that Rockets fans want to try and like portray this like Alperen is like okay on defense thing. He has good hands, and I think that is a point of his defensive ability that is worth complimenting and saying very positive things about. Like I do genuinely think that he's not like a lost cause because his brain works as fast as it does on defense, but like his feet don't move quick enough to switch. It's especially in high leverage situations in the playoffs, like it's just not going to work. But I think that there's a good chance he could be okay in a show and recover situation. He won't be like a significant positive in the way that like I think Jokic can actually at times be a positive in a show and recover situation, but yeah, he can't. We do need to be honest and say like he can't switch, I think.
Yeah. And show and recover is only as impactful as the help that you have around the basket while your big man is hedging those screens. So I think where Jabari Smith has never really won me over is as a secondary rim protector. I think there are a lot of guys who play the 4 who are better at that than him. I don't know if I trust Jalen Green in that type of role, even though he's got athleticism to be able to get to the rim. Amen Thompson is probably going to be the one guarding a lot of those ball screens long term. So look, there are a lot of schematic things that any team that has Alperen Sengun needs to work their way through. But by and large, like my takeaway with this is that it's too soon to, I want to see what it looks like in Houston, because these are 5 really fun young players who could all fit. But the first domino that I would be looking at to fall if things aren't great would actually be Sengun. And I know that's very upsetting for a lot of Rockets fans to hear because they love him.
Well, and to me, the most interesting piece of it for me, I guess, is like people know that like I'm a really big Cam Whitmore fan. Like I would have Whitmore 5th on this, like undeniably, and I love Cam and think he's fantastic. I mean, here's what I would ask you: who would you have at 2nd on that list?
Jalen probably. I just think he's going to put up a lot of numbers.
I think he's going to put up a lot of numbers. I think I would still go Jabari. And look, like I'm maybe too high on Jabari, but I think that it's hard to teach 6'10" and like the ability to shoot at the level he can. And he's mobile enough to defend. And I think I'm probably a little bit higher on you than his help defense.
Sure.
I think that this year it was not awesome all the time just because he was a rookie and was still learning. And I agree with you that like the rim protection help defense is never always at the level you want it to be for him. Like some people thought that maybe he might be able to play the 5 at some point. I don't know that I'm there on that. I think that it's probably more that you use him as a 4 that like flies around and is mobile defensively.
Yeah. All right.